But did it get that warm, or was she just kind of nervous?
It didn't get that warm. She's just warm-blooded, yeah.
But it doesn't say, they say fast, so you don't want to hear it all. Places everybody.
9 o'clock.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, May 21st, and 9 o'clock. Time to begin our weekly Cottington County Board of Commissioners meeting. We'll open the meeting with Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll read it today, okay? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Aaron. Housekeeping chores, if you got a phone, and I'm sure you do, please silence it or turn it off. And if you get a call you need to take, please go out into the rotunda so you don't disrupt the meeting. This meeting is being streamed live, just for your information. So if you approach the board, more than likely you will be on that live stream. Just a heads up so you're aware of that. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to bring something to the board that is not on the agenda? We would like to allow them time during the open. We wouldn't be able to act on it because it's not on the agenda, but if you have something, we would certainly want to give you the opportunity to share. Seeing none, how about the board members? Is there any items on the agenda that you feel it could be a conflict of interest? That being said, we are also, Troy Van Dusen is not, he's absent today. He's at a mandatory meeting off campus here, so we will be running today with 4 commissioners. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make that motion.
We have a motion by Hatton, second by Gable. Any discussion?
Other than, I do want an exec on personnel,
Okay, and
and that's on the agenda, but just number
that's on
one.
the. All right, that's, anything else? Anything else? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
How about the meeting minutes of the May 14th
Move
meeting?
to approve as emailed.
Second.
Motion by Hatton, second by Gable. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. We're going to move right along here. We have item number 5 is action to approve the 2019 and 2020 malt beverage license renewals, and we have 3 of them. Is that right, Cindy?
That's correct. We have the Rooster Bar, we have South Fork Lounge, and Dakota Sioux Casino. The cost to renew a malt beverage, this is off sale, on and off sale malt beverages is $300 per year. The county keeps $150 of that. Department of Revenue gets $150. I talked to the sheriff. He had no problems with any of these vendors.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve the license by Hatton, a second by Commissioner Waterman. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's go right on. Milo, can you hang in there for just a little bit?
We can't really start our auction until 9:15.
Oh, okay, well, then
just in
we'll-
case other bidders
Sure.
come in, so we could go to monthly reports with Milo.
Let's go over to Milo for a monthly report. Come on up, Milo. Good morning again.
Good morning. Okay, I'll start out with Memorial Park. Things have been a little slow coming together out there this camping season. The weather has not been very camper friendly so far. We are 100% reserved for the Memorial Day weekend. The water has been an issue through different areas of the park. Many of our pull-through sites went underwater again last Saturday after our 2+ inches of rain we had out there. It's actually going away quite nicely at this point, but now with the forecast for today and tonight, I'm a little worried about what that's going to bring us. The camping pads themselves in that area are stable, and those won't be an issue. I'm a little more concerned with the areas in between the campsites where people set up their picnics and, you know, well, they might not be wading in water. I'm afraid it might be a little bit soggy for them, so we'll just have to play that one by ear. The water situation on the west side of the park, which I've talked with, I think 2 or 3 of you on, but that remains pretty much the same. This would be in reference to the landowner that called in about, you know, the water that goes through that area. I have been in contact with Roger Foote from the Big Sioux Watershed District. He has been helping me research this a little bit. This appears to be a natural waterway coming to the lake through Memorial Park. It runs through culverts underneath Parkview Drive and under South Lake Drive. It kind of meanders through the residential property between those 2 drives, you know, and then comes into the park and kind of works its way into the lake. At one time there was a road right on the shore of the lake, and it appears that there was a culvert under that road. Right now, that culvert stops about 10 foot short of actually draining into the lake, and I couldn't say if that end of the culvert has eroded, you know, rotted away, or if the lake is actually washed with sand, you know, up and plugged at, or just exactly what the situation is there. This landowner has been coming over and digging a trench between the end of that culvert and the lake to attempt to drain that water out a little faster. Kind of bottom line there is the water inside the park and the lake pretty much remain stable with each other. You know, whatever the lake level is, you know, is consistent with what's inside the park. There is slight drainage into the lake from that point, unless we have a south or southeast wind, and then it just kind of reverses itself and actually blows more water up into the park. So it's, you know, that's how close it is. Currently, if we were to extend that culvert or replace that culvert to get it drained into the lake faster, well, I'm not sure who has the authority to make that call. I would think that it's probably in the lake's best interest to have a little bit of a filter there, but you know, I'm not comfortable making that call, and I'm not sure who would.
Mr. Chairman, so is Roger Foote helping with the kind of figuring that piece out a little bit?
Yeah, so you know, he's looking into that also.
Yeah.
However, I would state that if we replace that culvert, you know, I have no money in the budget or no plans to do that, so it would have to be something that's done in the future, you know, or we would have to use contingency funds to complete that.
Well, in the past, there was some question of who that road belonged to. Is it the city road? Is it the county road? Is it the county park road? Or is it?
Yeah.
Who owns the road?
You know, it's on park property.
Okay.
You know, so I would assume that it's county.
But there was some question, you had brought it up even, that there was not a...
Yeah, you can
So
nail that
that's-
down though. Yeah.
However, in addition to all this, Parkview Drive is scheduled to be redone, and at that time, you know, the culverts underneath are also going to be redone, so there's a possibility that may resolve the landowner's issue. You know, maybe that will get the water into the park faster. faster and off of their property, but it is a natural waterway there, so it's something that's always been there. That aside, there is some good news coming from the park also. Dawson Sign from Boy Scout Troop, easy for me to say, Boy Scout Troop 209 recently completed planting 45 trees and 13 shrubs throughout the park. He contacted me after hearing our Memorial Trees for Memorial Park project, and he wanted to make Memorial Park his Eagle Scout project.
What was his last name?
Sign?
S-E-I-M?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So on Saturday, a group of volunteers were at Memorial Park in the nice warm weather, nice drizzly day, led by Dawson, and brought this project to a successful completion. It's a great kickoff for our tree promotion, and I can't thank Dawson enough for his efforts. We also had a $200 donation to the park that was to go towards ceiling fans in the pavilion building. This is one of the buildings that gets heavily used for family reunions throughout the summer and will be a welcome addition to the building. The donation was made by a family that currently holds their family reunions out there, and I did not get permission to repeat their name in the meeting, so I'll just leave it at that. It's great. Donations like that help the world go round. The new floor finish has been completed in 2 of the bathhouses. I think our guests will be really impressed with how good our buildings are looking this year. It really made an improvement. Believe it or not, that's just kind of the high points from the park. I could hold you around for another hour, but I don't want to overstay my welcome, so I'll keep moving on.
I have one question, Milo. On the tree, if people would like to make donations for trees, has that still stayed the same?
Yep, that
Okay.
still stays the same. If anyone would like to make any donations toward trees at Memorial Park, they can send their funds through the Watertown Community Foundation for the Memorial Trees for Memorial Park Fund.
Good.
We still have to come up with some sort of idea of naming those individuals, right?
Yes. Out at the Ag Building, things are pretty much cleaned up out there after being used as Sandbag Central again this year. Nothing real specific to tell you about from that location. Things continue on as normal. The courthouse, work is progressing nicely on the fire alarm system installation. We are continuing to work with the sheriff as he implements the startup of the security checkpoint. While not all of the walls are in place yet, they have been using the checkpoint and making adjustments as needed. So it should be a smooth transition when it goes into full use. Detention center, the landscaping has been completed where the generator fuel tank area was dug up last fall. And we have a project in mind, any price quote, which you will hear about later in the meeting, to solve our water woes in the emergency management office that come down from up above. There's my report. Any questions while you have me front and center?
Any questions for Milo? Should we go ahead and take items 12 and 13 while he's here?
Yeah, we can do that.
Why don't we jump down to item number 12, action to approve a project to repair the Sally Port floor in the detention center, and that's what Milo was just referring to.
Okay.
And there is an insert in your packet in reference to
This
that.
project, this would be completed by Pro Maintenance. Now, this is the same company that we've used to do the floors at the Ag Building and at Memorial Park. And what they are recommending to do and what they have proposed to do is furnish all material and perform all labor necessary to resurface 1,005 square feet and 156 linear feet of joints, and also 140 feet of 4-inch cove base to install the Tennant EcoFlex deck system. Basically, this is a system that is chemical system that is applied to the floor. This is used like in parking ramps, you know, and garage floors and stuff. It will actually make a seal, you know, a flexible seal to prevent water from infiltrating into areas we don't want it to go anymore. The price to do this is $19,500. This has been approved by Sheriff Howell. He does have sufficient funds in the budget to complete this.
It wasn't a pre-budget, it wasn't a budgeted item though.
No,
Okay. But he has the
He
funds.
does have the funds available.
Okay.
I'd make a motion to approve this.
All right, a motion by Gable, second
Second that.
by Hatton. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just have to refresh my memory. When was that done the last time?
in the double garage area, it's never been done.
Okay.
And in the single garage area, that was done approximately 8 years ago.
Okay.
And I'm kind of guessing on that.
How many year warranty does this cover?
I cannot answer that. I would have to look in here.
On the
On the
back,
back
it has
page,
limited
it's got
warranty.
a home maintenance limited warranty statement. Like everything is for a year, I thought I read.
So again, anything due to their
Limited warranty statement.
application.
This is all coating materials and resurfacers are applied as required by the manufacturer's specifications.
Sound good.
And, okay, a
Within 1
period
year.
of 1 year, provided it has not been damaged by the owner.
Answer your question?
Doesn't seem very long, but
Now, how will this help the water problems that we have in the emergency management?
Correct.
How is this going to help it? How does this?
Basically, you might, this chemical seal, it actually acts as a liner, to seal off cracks in any areas where water
Right.
penetrates.
If I understand it, I think the way the sheriff explained it to me, so when you have vehicles that pull in, police cars and whatnot that pull in to the Sally Port to bring somebody to jail, you get a lot of snow, especially in the winter, and they're bringing in snow and slush, and that's what the problem mostly comes from.
That's where the problem comes from.
So,
There are floor drains in the Sally Port area, but per normal, the floor drains are kind of located in the high spot of the floor.
Good to know that's the way it usually is. All right, you've heard Milo. What's the wishes of the commission?
We have a motion and a second.
Oh, we do.
Motion.
Yeah, Gable and Hatton. Any more discussion? Any more? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Let's go on to number 13 then. Action to establish the 2020 camping rates for Memorial Park, and we've seen your suggestions, Milo. Go ahead.
The camping rates at Memorial Park have not increased since 2015. Prices on stuff has remained relatively stable, over that period. But I think it's time to be looking at an increase. This would be effective for the season 2020 and not affect this year at all. But because of the way we operate out there, we will make hundreds of reservations for next year already. So that's why we bring it up at this point rather than waiting until this fall. Currently, city park rates are at $21 for electrical and $30 for full hookup. State park are $21 for electrical site plus their entrance fee, and they do not have full hookup sites available. And our rates are currently $22 a day for an electric site and $24 a day for a full-service site. So we are a little bit more expensive on our electrical, but I don't feel too bad about that. We offer a lot of things at our park that aren't available in other parks, so.
Would you have Mr. Chairman, excuse me?
Yes.
Do you have a suggestion? I saw one suggestion from Commissioner Hanton about just going to $30 for that full hookup. Is that?
My suggestion would be to just add $1 each to the electric and the full-service sites, which amounts to approximately a 4.5% increase. And then those rates, that 4.5% would carry into the weekly rates and the monthly rates, which would make our weekly on electric go from 132 to 138. Full service sites weekly from 144 to 150. The monthly rates on an electrical site would increase from 506 to 529. The full service sites would increase from 552 to 577. And the daily rates would just go from, increase by $1 each, 22 to 23, and 24 to 25. Also, the buildings at that same 4.5% would increase from 57 to 60, and the premium buildings would increase from $75 to $78.
All right, you've heard Milo's suggestions. What's wishes of
I'd
the...
make a motion to accept Milo's suggestions.
Motion by Hatton,
I'll second it.
second by Gable. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, Milo, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Covered a lot of ground there. Now we're going to back up and auction off the haying rights on the county-owned property west of town. In your packet, you do have a handout, hay ground lease. This lease is, the time frame would be from, if we get it.
What we're going to need first is a motion to set the starting bid and the length of the contract. So
Okay.
if you want the starting, you can do that in one motion. I did contact SDSU, and the average rate for this type of property is $70 an acre right now. And our previous contract was for 2 years. So you can make a motion to set the starting bid rate and set the contract for a 2-year period, be 2019 and 2020.
Okay,
I'd make a motion to concur with the SDSU rates and make it for 2 years.
all right, we have a motion by Waterman. Is there a second to that motion?
Second it.
Second by Gable. Any discussion? Any discussion?
So just to clarify, so we're saying starting bid is $70 an acre as part of that motion.
And there are 9.48 acres involved in this piece.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign, motion carries. All right, with that information then, let's go ahead and open up the auction at this time. You heard what we just had said as the beginning number. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to entertain us with a motion of $70 an acre? Is there anyone in the audience? Anyone wishing to make an offer of $70 per acre? Is there anyone in the audience wishing to make an offer at all? Okay, we have one. Tyler, Mr. McElhaney, what is, you'd like to make a bid of what?
I would make a bid of $30 an acre.
Of $30 an acre. We have a a bid of $30 an acre. Is there anyone else that would like to raise that bid? Anyone else? Anyone else that would like to raise that bid? Anyone else that would like to raise that bid?
Your next action would be to accept or reject the
Yeah.
bid.
Did you have something, Marty? Okay. All right.
I put my rake away years ago.
All right, so then the next item then is, should we accept that bid or should we reject that bid?
What, if I may ask before anybody makes a motion, what rate were we getting?
$63.25 is what we've had for the last 4 years.
Are there any rules about how low, this isn't the same thing as like selling a piece of property, so.
Nope.
No. No. And if we don't accept the bid, we would just advertise it. And if there's anyone interested, they would just have to contact the county and go from there. What are the wishes?
I'll make a motion to accept the bid.
I'll second that.
I make a motion to accept the bid.
So we have a motion by Gable to accept the bid. Is there a second to that?
Second that.
Any discussion?
It'd be nice, I guess it would be nice to get more, but on the other hand, we advertised that we're doing this on the agenda and we had somebody come and bid on it, so.
How long would that have to be advertised for, Cindy? How many times do you have to advertise that?
There's no rule. I think we advertised twice. I had one other call. Individual did not indicate who they were, but they asked where the property was, but that's the only call I had, was just one other.
Any more discussion? Any more discussion? Seeing none? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, so you will write the lease for $30 per acre.
And then we have to do number 7 to authorize the chair to sign the contract.
Yep, let's do that.
Make that motion.
Motion by Hatton, second by, who was it? Waterman. Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, we'll get her done. All right, let's go back then to reports. Are you ready?
Yep.
Cindy? Auditor.
Went to workshop in Pier last week. It was a good workshop. We covered a lot of different subjects. We always have a good presentation, or we've had a good presentation twice now from the Attorney General's office on consumer fraud. That's very, very interesting. If your association has not heard that demonstration before, it would be something, it's very interesting. A lot on your credit reports, a lot of stories from the area, no names or anything like that, but very interesting who they deal with on a daily basis, and what you can do to protect yourself from identity theft and fraud. They will be putting out a new pamphlet, I believe, in July, and I had put some of those out in the hallway the last time we got some, and they disappeared pretty quickly, so it's an interesting subject. She held your interest.
We'll probably make mention of that for our convention.
I think her name is Jody Gillespie. She's with the AG's office. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's her.
Don't know. Okay.
Yeah. We are also working on the city ballots. We have the proofs for those right now. I'm working between the programmer and City Hall to make sure we've got everything worded correctly and it's ready to go. And then we'll be getting those ordered. And then I'm still waiting on a number of 2020 budget requests from department heads that have not turned those in yet.
Mr. Chairman, on the, when would, will there be early voting for the city?
There will be, yes, there will be early voting. I believe they have to start 15 days before the election, which would be June 3rd.
Okay.
And that's what we're working on right now, is to make sure we have those ballots on hand for that.
Okay, anything else for Cindy? Any other questions? All right, thank you. Let's go on then to Director of Equalization. Shauna? Good morning.
Morning.
Morning, Shauna.
We are currently getting everything basically caught back up after boards, getting all the changes put into the system, getting our reports and everything sent off to the Department of Revenue. And the appraisers have started doing their reappraisal in Elmira Township and Pelican Township. The weather has been hampering that a little bit. Hopefully it'll even out soon and we can get a heck of a lot more done.
Have you had any, heard anything about any OHE appeals? No appeals?
This week, I think, is the last, was it this week or was it last?
I thought it was last week.
Could have
That's
been
the
last week.
17th. Yeah, I'd have to look at
No, we haven't heard nothing.
that. Okay.
Good. We like to hear that.
Me too.
All right.
But that's all I got.
Anything else for Shauna? Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Shauna.
Let's go on to the highway. Rick?
Good morning.
Morning, Rick.
Rick's work never ends, right? I did have a question yesterday, road limits.
They're still on.
They're still on, yeah?
They're
I
probably
said,
worse than they were when they were put
said,
on.
when are they coming off? Somebody said, I said,
1st of July this year, isn't it?
Maybe. Roads are still pretty spongy.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We can use a break from the rain. Everybody could, but that's the determining factor right now. It's just, we can't get ahead. So, it just, if we go from tearing up gravel roads to tearing up blacktop, that wouldn't be good.
So the road limits are still on?
Yes, they are. Yeah. All right. The month of May, we're still crack sealing. The cracks are still open on some of our blacktops to try and seal out some of the moisture that's going down in them. There's still big cracks, but they're smaller cracks, so they just skip some of that and just mainly hit the big ones on one of the roads that we plan on chip sealing this year to help with some of that, because otherwise you gotta wait until after you're done, and it's easier to put it down and cover it up. We've patched some blowouts we've had on some of our blacktops. We MC70 and then put B-rock on it to try and glue it back together. That's worked pretty good. The guys running the motor graders are having an uphill battle trying to keep the gravels put together with all the moisture, because there's enough truck traffic on some of them to create ruts. And I've had a few calls from people that use our county gravels that it's been a little tough to get down a few of them, but mainly it's after a big rain, and then somebody decides to haul through there and mess it all up. We finally took the wing posts and wings off the motor graders yesterday. The outside guys that run motor graders, they do that together and rotate their tires and whatever maintenance they need to do to try and make the tires last longer, because the motor graders are kind of tough on tires. We've had a few frost boils, not near as bad as last year. There's a few spots north of town that are in tough shape, but there's not a whole lot we can do with it, because it's just like putting as far
What's a
out.
frost boil?
It's where you mainly get it on a gravel road where it's just like footing underneath. The top will stay relatively firm in the wheel tracks, but it will push up right in the middle of the road.
Okay.
And it's just like footing. You can stick a rod as far down as
Really?
you can push it.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun.
Do they still dig those out?
Yes and no. Depending on where you're at, how much road you're going to tear up to get to that frost boil, as just working around it. Most of the time, like I said, it's in the middle of the road, so the wheel tracks go over the top of it.
Right.
So you can usually straddle it. It's where somebody gets off or they meet someone there and they get a wheel in it, and then they could possibly get stuck in the middle of the road. But we've only got a couple spots like that this year. Last year we had numerous spots. We worked quite a while to get those healed back up. Our new sign shop, they came May 8th, they dug the holes and put the perma columns in. On May 14th, they poured the floor for it, so that's done. And then yesterday they came and started putting a little wood up. But with the storm that's coming, they only put a little bit up because the winds are supposed to be 30+ miles an hour sometime today, in normal. So that's holding that up. Jim Sutton and I went with 2 members of the state and FEMA last Thursday and looked at some of the spots throughout the county that were on township roads and a couple of ours that were on our list that we turned in. That was just a preliminary assessment, so there'll be more to come after that. At the current time, we still have 2 roads that are closed. That's County Road 20-1 south of Tinkertown. There's a spot that's underwater there. And the waters came up more since we closed it. It's completely underwater now. There's one up 25A by Wallace that the culvert's washed out. And we're currently in the process. The land that it drains, one of the landowners wants us to see if we can enlarge the culvert that goes underneath our county road, because everything downstream from it is larger. So we're in the process now of seeing if we can make that bigger. At the time, the road is still washed out. We hauled sandbags for Hamlin County that were in the ag building. If we operate the day down, but we hauled them down with our low boy, and they will reimburse us for our fuel that we used that day. So that way we emptied out the ag building, get rid of those, and they help the people in Hamlin County.
I think that was just the day before we had that other big rain or whatever that levee broke down there, and they were down there.
Yeah, it was raining the day we hauled them down there. So that's about all I have right now. So.
Okay, anything else for?
Rick's got item number 14.
Yeah. Banner. Yep. Let's go jump down to number 14 then.
This is the agreement that Banner wrote up, because they're going to start, they want to start the transmission line in Millbank to east of Waverly, like the second, third week in June. And Banner needs to, I think there's 6 miles of county blacktop that they need to do before they can start that. And this will take care of that, and the portion of Crown Ridge 1 and Crown Ridge 2 to inspect the road before they start, and then when the project is completed, they'll do it again. They'll videotape the road. They have geotech coming to help with the base of the road, and they'll measure 3 spots on every road, every mile I should say, to get a better view of what is there, so we don't have any
Discrepancies.
between what they come up with and what we have. So because they're going to do the same thing.
Okay, and the cost on that is, I read it here somewhere.
It's all different.
$47.50 per mile.
$4,750 per mile.
Yeah.
Not cheap, is it?
I just think about, like the townships, what kind of mechanisms will they use to,
Well, the Winters they'll map it themselves, but I don't know if they hired anyone
as a,
To pre-inspect.
yeah.
to. And this is something that I would not have time to do, and at the scope that they will do it. And on the last page, there is what was in the Hall Road agreement. Should be highlighted that the developer will pay for this.
Have you advised the developer of the potential cost?
No. No, thought I'd run it by the commission first.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
So,
See if they-
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
so do we need to take action on this now to say we're okay with this, or does it still, how does this, are we the ones that sign it, or does the developer?
We would be the ones approving the contract. We would pay up front, and then we would
Then they would get
bill.
reimbursed, okay. Yeah.
We would bill the developers,
Okay.
yeah, per the contract.
And we can act on it today.
Yes, it is, it's down for
Okay.
discussion, possible
Right,
action.
right.
Because Banner needs to get started.
Right.
So they won't set the wind towers back on their transmission line.
Well, you put a lot of work and a lot of hours in there that one morning. I know you're running off to a meeting when I stopped by, and if you feel comfortable with that, I would make that motion to accept
We
this.
have a motion by Waterman,
Second.
second by Gable. Any more discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, Rick, there you go.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you
looks
for
like
all
you
your work.
can sign this. It looks like you can sign it.
Okay.
It just says,
Yeah.
yeah, it just says customer, so.
Okay, I will sign it and get it back off to them.
And then get a copy of it for our records.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to number 9, action to approve the auditor's account with treasurer and note monthly register deed fees.